Hello, everyone. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. I'm your host, Aged Boomer. It's my co-host, Pacelli, and the other
Hello.
co-host, the Geezette, Netter of Netters Network. Welcome, everybody.
Good evening. I'm
Yes,
somebody. I'm a geezette.
You're a geezette. Yes, you are.
we were just talking though about Data on Star Trek, and you said
Yeah.
that his dream thing got enacted after the whole thing where lore was with the Borg, I assume, and he had taken
The emotion chip
but then
from
he
it.
got the
Yeah.
emotion chip back from lore, but didn't feel right about you, but was still able to enact his dream sequences and stuff.
Right. What happened was he tried to use the chip, and it caused some problems. So he turned it off, and he didn't want to address it again. But then he started experimenting with the subroutine that gave him dreams. This concept of free association became very intriguing to him, and you know I these kinds of stories are always written by oftentimes different writers. Yes, you had people like Rick Sternbach and Mike Okuda who kind of oversaw the canonicity of these things, but writers oftentimes had different ideas. Some of them worked with canon, some of them didn't, so they'd often get retconned out later on or just pretend they didn't happen. But I think a writer could very easily come in and look at this whole thing and say, you know what? This ends up working out really well. Data needed to, in a dispassionate kind of way, start experiencing free association, through dreams, this dream subsequence, before he was ready to address emotions. And then we see that he starts using them regularly. He fixes the chip and is able to go back to using it in the movie Generations, which I just find very interesting. I also saw there was a number of episodes, both before and after he had the emotion chip, where he looked to the Vulcans for inspiration and surreptitious guidance on this walking the line between pure logic and emotion. Which I think was always the intent. Going back to the original concept behind Next Gen, a lot of the first and second season scripts were rehashed scripts that were originally intended for a phase 2 that they were going to do with the original cast. And there was a character named Zahn. I'm forgetting the actor's name. He ended up having a small role in the motion picture. But he was going to be the replacement for Spock as the science officer because Nimoy was not going to return. And his thing was going to be very much like Data. But his thing was being pure Vulcan, living a life completely separate from emotion, and now trying to, in order to integrate with humans in Starfleet, trying to explore emotion to try and understand. In many of his storylines ended up becoming Data's storylines for exactly that reason. So
I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, and I'd also
We
watched
could,
Oh, go
huh?
ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say we could do a whole good old day sometimes on Star Trek: The
We
Next
could do a whole
Generation.
good old days on just one particular episode. I mean, that's
That's for sure. That's really kind of true.
I mean,
You're
I
right.
watched Future Imperfect last night, the one where Riker gets gassed on that planet, then he wakes up. Oh, it's 15 years later. You've lost your memory for the last 15 years. Remember
Yes, I
that?
love that.
And
I
then,
love
oh,
that. And when he's like, when he says to Admiral Picard, he says, "Shut up." Excuse me. Shut up. As in, stop talking.
remember they said, oh, Ambassador Tamalak is coming aboard. Ambassador, wait a minute. He
Yeah.
wanted to destroy the Enterprise and take it back as a war trophy for Romulus,
Right.
and now we're dealing with these.
Yeah.
All right, welcome everybody. Though, let me say hi to the chat. Though,
Yeah.
let's see if the likes stays pressed. I hope
Oh,
so.
that's
Yeah,
right. She came in and said she had hit the like button, but previously she'd come in and hit the like button and it went away on her.
that'd be interesting if like YouTube is now just removing likes. I'm sorry, not that I'm
I'm
complaining about YouTube. We love
I'm
YouTube
pretty
here.
sure they do. Yeah. I'm
Anyway,
pretty sure they
oh,
do.
I got this last call, fellow. Welcome.
Howdy, howdy. Yes.
Big Al, welcome, Big Al. I know you're doing Jane Austen month.
Yeah, we just watched Emma last night, and we will watch in 2 weeks Pride and Prejudice.
Next year you can do Austin.
No, in 4 weeks we'll be watching Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Not playing with zombies.
Well, now it's become that way in our heads. Yeah, it's become.
Netters Network, welcome. Of course, you're here in the studio.
Yep.
Let me see. Depends.
Lovely actress and American heroes. Yeah, exactly. We'll get to them in just a few moments.
Thank you, Depends, Zach. And a lot of news tonight. Some gaming news that isn't all negative for once.
Yeah, but there's one that's pretty damn negative.
You don't
hate Nintendo enough.
I'm excited for your reaction to that. Oh man.
Part
of me is like, don't send him that one. Just leave it alone this week, because you keep thinking it's Troy. No, I sent him. Just kidding.
And you can't, right? Because there's every week it's like some other piece of crap comes up from Nintendo, and it's like, oh geez, Nintendo, would you stop already?
It's like Mr.
Can you do
Burns.
Something nice.
It's like Mr. Burns in that big cliffhanger on The Simpsons when he kept doing horrible things throughout the entire episode because you're supposed to figure out who shot Mr. Burns, and he keeps doing. And his final thing at the end was he was going to take. He took candy from a baby.
Literally took candy from a baby. Yes, that's Nintendo now. Exactly right.
Wilkie's Movies and Music.
Hey Corey, good to see you.
By the way, rumors right now. I'm going to do an investigation for next week, but just because Nintendo wants to raise the prices on everything and that doesn't mean that the retailers are going to go along with it. I think there might be some rebellion going on from retailers against all these high prices they're setting. Like they're not going with it. I think Walmart is fighting back, which I thought was interesting.
That's good because
we'll get into it next week.
Well, and maybe
I want more details. I want more facts on it before I do anything. Yeah, Sashi, welcome. And Connie Cleary, always great to see you. Unscripted Raid, Vagrancy Horror, thanks. Can't say, been making bacon for dinner, and I think I just put a hole in the ozone. Best regards. You having a BLT, Vagrancy Horror, or are you having that with your baked beans? I'm trying to think what else you use bacon with. You ever have bacon? If my mom
I just literally made another pound of bacon because I wanted to make Netter a bacon cheeseburger tonight.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. But I do like me some bacon. I had chicken tenders tonight, though. I did have a corn dog for lunch, though. I look at wisdom from the M61 Vulcan. Oh, wait. You know... I wish Kurtzman Trek didn't exist, but anyway, nice video, short release, Toy on Phase 2, very cool stuff. Yeah, well, we were talking about Star Trek for the stream. I figured I'd just carry it over. Yeah. If I missed anyone, use RNG. Hold on, I think this is just people chat with there. Welcome to Topia. Welcome, writer Albert Lanier. Phase 2 was back in the 1970s, and Paramount was looking to start a TV network. That is when the new Vulcan science officer was a character. Oh, yeah. I see. So Paramount and CBS were not initially joined. I guess Paramount bought CBS later on. Is that what happened? That would be a whole other stream for me to get into. This has something to do with why the rights are split in two for so long with Star Trek. There's probably something to do with the rights. Sort of, and that's also why this remerger could, kind of fix all of that again for Star Trek. That's why a lot of Star Trek fans have been very eager for this Paramount, and we'll get more into the Paramount thing later in the stream. But Albert's absolutely right. They were planning a series back in the 70s that did not come to fruition, and then years go by. They ended up taking the script that would have been their pilot episode and turning that into the motion picture treatment after Star Wars, kind of as a response to Star Wars. And it wasn't great. There was a lot of things they needed to zhuzh up, which obviously happened with Star Trek 2, but it did well enough to get them to relaunch cinematically. But they had all these scripts that they had planned for their first season of that series. So when you look at The Next Generation and you look at Oh,
how they would think about it. There's corollaries, right? You've got Data and this Zahn character, right? There was Ilea and there was Deanna, with the relationship with Will Decker and Will Riker.
I
so
see.
A lot of the stories just kind of, worked out just fine. And they just swap out names and relationships, and it kind of worked out. In fact, there was an episode called, I think it was called The Child, where Deanna Troi has an immaculate conception.
Oh, yes.
And that one was originally intended for Ilea, so it was just a rehash of the story. So yeah.
We gotta use these scripts, but no, we want to do this thing about the Borg. Save it for season 2. It's like, exactly. I know there are probably writers in there. Can we get on with this stuff and start going to the good stuff that we want to be doing? All right. Well, welcome everybody. I guess we get into the presentation now, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We could do that. Sure.
Do that. And we always start these streams up talking about the good old days. Even though we were talking about Star Trek, that is not tonight's good old days. We are going to be talking about Highlander.
Here we are, born to be kings. We're the princes of the universe.
Oh, when this movie starts,
demonetized. Yes, exactly right.
Well, when I love the beginning of the movie when that's all you hear. It just starts up and it's the Queen song, right? It's
exactly.
Like you're going to be in
soundtrack by Queen.
Yes.
One tragedy though is the segment where Freddie Mercury leading Queen in their rendition of was it New York?
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe.
And there was never a full version, as far as I know. Never completely recorded a full version. They just recorded the portion they needed for the film, so it doesn't appear on the soundtrack. It doesn't appear anywhere. And it's like, I would have loved that version of the song to have been released, and it just doesn't exist.
That's too bad. That happens.
Originally, no soundtrack for this movie. The songs for it all ended up getting released on most of them ended up getting released on a Queen album called, I'm drawing a blank. Somebody in the chat's probably going to get it for me. And it wasn't until years later they ended up doing this, whole soundtrack treatment for it.
Oh, Marc Malnekoff, welcome. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Is there an honor thing in Highlander? I would assume the Kurgan is the least honorable character.
No, I would argue there is not. There is, however, the rules of the game.
They have to obey the rules. Yes.
And it's absolute things like you can't fight on holy ground.
So if it's a church or a Tibetan monastery, whatever it is.
You cannot get involved in someone else's battle. It's one-on-one, and that's all there is to it. And it's enforced somehow by whatever it is, the quickening or the universe or whatever it is. Yeah.
So that's the original poster. I'm curious, did you see this in the theaters when it came out, or is this a home video cable thing for you?
I want to say that I first saw it on cable. I believe that's the case. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But that's the original poster. Look at that. It's very mysterious. I see the Kurgan in the background there.
Mm-hmm.
And moving on. There we go. Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert as Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. Absolutely. I loved his accent, and when you find out more about the actor and you find out his very interesting background, his unique accent because of living, in different places around the world. This happens to people that, have
transatlantic accent. That's
exactly.
Yes.
Well, no, not really. Transatlantic is a very specific kind of English dialect,
right? Like the Spinal Tap character.
But he lived in, and I can't even remember now if he lived in France and he lived in Germany for a while, and he spoke English, and so it's a very odd accent, and that's something they actually. you would think you would want someone with a Scottish brogue, right? Now, what you really, really want for this role is someone that can do the flashback scenes with a Scottish accent, and then do the modern thing with the kind of accent, really, that Christopher Lambert brought to the role, right? Yeah. After centuries of life living in different countries with changing dialects and languages, you would have a very unique accent. And but it takes an actor who can really do accents on the fly like that. I got the impression that he was just playing his own accent, and he didn't have that much of an acting experience when he came to this role, which was fine. He did a great job, and he was great for what he was. But I always point to Christopher Lambert's accent as people get hung up on Sean Connery's role, right, where he's dressed like a Spaniard, but he's living in Scotland, but he claims to be from Egypt. And it's like, well, yeah, there he is, right? And it's like, well, why does the Spaniard, Ramirez, right, have a Scottish accent? He lives in Scotland now. He could have lived in Scotland for the past 100 years, picking up the Scottish accent. He could originally be from Spain. No, wait a minute. He's not originally from Spain. He's originally from Egypt.
Yeah, so he would have learned these accents.
What was his name before what was his name before he changed it in Spain, which of course is a little bit of a Sean Connery deep dive. His line from The Untouchables: "What was your name before you changed it?"
Bob.
There we have Clancy Brown as the Kurgan.
Yeah, nobody even bats an eye that he doesn't have a Russian steppes accent, right? The Kurgan were real people.
Yeah, and he's the primary antagonist attacking the Scottish clans at the beginning of this movie, right. Though you realize he probably does he have ulterior motives?
He absolutely does, because he even says to his men, I don't remember the exact line.
Like, don't kill him, he's mine, or something?
Don't kill him, he's mine. Yeah, exactly. And he tries to do him execution style, but in the fray of a battle with a bunch of Scotsmen, things are not going to go as planned.
So I have a question, though. Don't you have to be awakened into an immortal before you could even get the... Oh, okay, so he could just lop his head off and still get it. Okay.
This first film establishes that these special people, these immortals, may not know they themselves are immortal and not even be aware of the rules prior to the discovery, but other immortals that are keyed into what's going on have the ability to sense. Actually, Connor actually does sense the Kurgan, but he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't understand it.
He knows something's weird. It's like a spider sense or a force sense.
It's like a spider sense or tingling in the force or whatever. I think the force is actually a really, really good analogy for the quickening. Yes. What?
Renee said, did you know the Queen was only supposed to do one song from the movie? They saw a rough cut of the movie, liked it so much they were inspired to do the entire soundtrack.
Yes, I did, and that kind of fires me up. And it also demonstrated how versatile they are, because they did a lot of the people don't realize this too, and what's it called? Who was it that did the soundtrack for Dune? Was it the Police? Because what's his name? He had something. But doing the incidental music as well as the songs, right? There's that whole Who Wants to Live Forever, right? Which is essentially the love song of this movie, gets turned into this really great instrumental piece that's used in several key parts of the movie. Just the music is absolutely... Toto! Thank you. I'm sorry. It was Toto. Yes, Toto did the soundtrack. So these popular bands doing popular music, doing these, these symphonic, but modern symphonic, orchestral pieces for music was kind of coming into vogue. Thank you very much, David. It was Toto that I was thinking of. I was confusing it with the fact that, of course, Sting was in the movie. But
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm looking at this picture here. I realize Ramirez could simply cut his head off, but that's not. I think his point is this isn't fair. This guy just realized he's an immortal, and he should be given a fighting chance to at least defend himself and get some training and just figure out what it is to be an immortal before he has to face off, right? I mean,
without getting too far into the weeds, especially because you can decide whether or not you want to consider the series to be part of the same canon or not. But what you do get to see, and you actually get to see it in this movie as well, they do a great job of showing you all these other immortals, and you get this impression they all have their own life and story. They could do a story about that one African character that was a friend of Connor's, that ends up getting killed by the Kurgan. He probably had a whole back history too. You get the impression that a lot of these immortals have no interest in killing each other.
It's the game. They have to do it, but it's not like...
But nothing says I have to do it now.
It's not a vindictive thing or something.
Yeah, there is nothing that says, well, you have to do it, yes, but you don't have to do it, See, that's what it comes down to. You start to realize that some, like Ramirez and Connor and presumably Duncan and a lot of the other people they consider to be friends, have no interest in fighting each other and will live forever not fighting each other, except you always have the people like the Kurgan who don't give an F about anybody and are more than happy to kill anybody and everybody to win the prize. So sometimes you do need people to team up with each other to prevent, someone like the Kurgan from winning. And it seems like they don't say it directly, but it really does seem like Ramirez knows we're going to have to team up to take out the Kurgan. And, I need to help him get to the level that he needs to be strong enough. And if it's him or me, I don't care, but someone has to beat the Kurgan, we'll talk more about that later. Of course, Heather is
kind of a tragic love story. This is where Who Wants to Live Forever? Why do you?
Oh my gosh, this
outlive your loved ones. Yes,
this was such a well-told story. This romance is the defining character for Connor, and honestly, exactly why I feel that every movie and every appearance he has in the series, right up to Endgame, this relationship here ties it all together. At the risk of, well, no, I'm not going to get into Endgame and the series and anything, but it's all very beautiful, and what a well-told story. Connor, these are the days of religion, and everything is predicated on it. Right. So if somebody dies and literally comes back to life, you assume supernatural events.
Vampire.
Yeah, but they assume it could be any. I know that there's. Is it the Duodane, or I forget?
Was that another thing from that period?
Yeah. There's all kinds of undead that are related to the vampire that are specifically Scottish. They don't mention it actually within this, but you could really dig into that kind of folklore. But yeah, he's ostracized by his own clan as being like, a demon, get out of here. And of course, Heather goes after him, and it's like, look, I don't believe what they believe, and she's literally willing to exile herself from her own people just to be with the man she loves.
Yeah.
Only come to find out that she ages and he doesn't. And that is not a problem for him, except in the element that he realizes there's going to be a day where he's going to lose her and have to live out the rest of eternity without her, which he dreads, you know? And for her, she's concerned about, you know, not being attractive and all this other stuff. And
he doesn't care about that.
Not even an issue. Oh, the last words he says to her, "My Bonnie Heather, I only..." She's talking about how her hair has turned gray. He goes, "I never saw the gray. I only ever saw the gold."
No. It's rather sad. Hold on to that, Maverick. We'll be talking about that later.
It is. This is why we're actually talking about this right now. We'll get there.
Mainly focusing on the first movie here, just because we're getting to the weeds, especially with the series, and of course, don't get Troy started on Highlander 2, which we could do a whole.
Well, there's really no point from a lore point of view. But so, man,
Modern
great picture that you chose here. This is one of his. This is the first battle that we see.
Yeah.
Where he defeats. We don't actually get a lot of backstory about the person whose head he takes, but you get to see him receive the quickening. But in this freeze frame, you see, you know, this spotlight that begins the whole process of him receiving the quickening. What is the quickening? Think of it comes from the term that you give to the biological process of life. When an embryo begins to move and have electrical reactions and reactions to light and whatnot, it's called the quickening. It's what we consider to be the beginning of life. Well, that life force exists in all of these immortals, and you receive all of that life force from whoever you defeat by
it breaks the windows of anything in the area.
Yeah, and electrical discharge and stuff like that. But
a lot of messed up cars in this lot after that. Yes.
Look at this sword. It's a very stylized sort of. I'm not sure if it's. I don't think it's actually a katana, but it is some kind of Japanese sword, and it was given to him by Ramirez, who had studied under a Japanese metallurgist.
Yeah.
The name of which comes from actual history, although the timeline is about a century off or so.
Well,
but this idea that Ramirez learned the skills of sword making from this Japanese master and then passed them on to Connor, which we see him using in the third movie to repair the sword after he breaks one of the rules, and thereby ends up breaking his sword. So I mean, this one movie, you get a lot of lore just from a few lines and a couple flashbacks. It's a masterclass in how to tell a story that spans centuries. It really is.
Highlander is literally one of my favorite movies. Oh, cool.
I am so with you there. Absolutely.
But of course, modern times, he's got a modern look.
That's another thing. He's got that look, right? He's got those eyes that he has, and they knew this when they were filming it. There are some great scenes that just kind of in that same style as Bela Lugosi in Dracula, where they put the lights right on his eyes and the rest of his face is a little bit shadowed. This particular scene isn't one of those, but they did that a couple of very key times, especially just before they go to a flashback, actually. So excellently done.
Highlander flopped at the box office. Interesting. So I guess this was one of these things that survived because of home video. And
lot of the movies that we love so much were lightning in a bottle, pun kind of intended here, because if it didn't do, because a lot of them were very cutting edge. This was a story that kind of had never been done before. You can compare it to other stuff, but it was still very unique. And I don't think they marketed it very well, which is a recurring theme with a lot of these great, beloved franchises or standalone films of the 80s. But it was also happening at the time where we were starting to get cable and we were starting to get home video for the first time.
Yeah.
And so you'd have cable playing these movies, sometimes, like we've talked about in the past, on kind of endless loops because they had a very limited number of licenses they had access to. So if you missed the Highlander, from 3 to 5, well, as soon as it ended, there'd be a commercial, and then they'd start right into it again. So if you were catching the end, you're like, man, this looks good. Well, I'll go make some popcorn, and I'll catch it from the beginning, And that's how a lot of these kinds of movies ended up getting watched and very much beloved. So when you'd hear there was a sequel being announced, you're like, oh, yeah. In this particular case, it was like, the hell did you just do? But that's a story for another time.
That'll be another rant, maybe a Friday.
Yeah, right.
The issues. Maybe when the new one's coming out, we should do a retrospective on like some of the Highlander sequels and see what.
That'll be a whole Friday night stream, I think. Absolutely.
But that's not my last pick. My last slide here, though. But that's the big fight at the end between.
Right. Another great element is, so you see him with the sword, and when they clash swords, I think they were kind of going for some of the idea of what you saw in the lightsaber battles in Star Wars.
Yeah.
But they also want to convey this whole clash of the quickening, right? So you have their swords come together and these sparks go flying. That was a very interestingly done practical effect where both actors... and it was usually done in close-up, so you couldn't see them like from the waist down or from behind them or whatever. Very cleverly how they had to do it. Their swords were hooked up to car batteries, and when they would, one would be positive, one would be negative, so that when they came together, there'd be the sparking like you would get when you're connecting a car battery.
Oh, neat.
So that's how that was done. But that also resulted in the specific blades they were using not being real swords. They were these, mock-ups that they needed to get the effect. So sometimes you would see their swords come together and you'd see them go whoop, 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 and almost wrap around each other.
Hey, it's the immortal force doing that, or something. I don't know what they call it. Yeah.
There are still practical ways to do that are a little bit. You'd be able to use real swords these days and get the same effect, is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the thing that started a major franchise, if you think about it, because you had the movie sequels, you had the TV series, you had a cartoon, which I know some people are not fans of, but
I've seen,
which is actually getting a release on I think Blu-ray or SD.
It should. There's nothing wrong with it existing. Just don't take it too seriously,
What I actually liked, well, no, let's not get off on a tangent.
Right.
There were things I did like about the cartoon. You could tell it was a French cartoon too. That was.
Oh, okay.
The third big country after Japan and the U.S. for animation was always France. Actually, I always thought that was
interesting.
They did a lot of the Disney afternoon shows were actually animated in France, which I thought was interesting. All right, so moving on to there was an anime, wasn't there? There was an anime Highlander movie. You're right.
I can imagine that. This I feel like would really lend itself well to.
Yeah, they had. I think the director of the Vampire Hunter D made it. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. All right, but that's it for Highlander. But we'll be touching on it later this evening because there's some news about the. I guess I want to say remake.
I think they're actually calling it a remake. Let's see when we get to the article to be sure.
So, and of course, I forgot to show the final. That wasn't the final side. That's what the quickening looks like. See the lightning shooting out.
Yeah, well, if I'm not mistaken, this is in fact the final battle after he takes the Kurgan's head, and you'd seen it a couple of times throughout the episode. Or excuse me, the film, but they had to go bigger for this one. So they really upped the animation with the lightning, because before it was just flash explosions around him and the glass being blown out. But here, this is practical animation, lightning, being drawn over him. In fact, it kind of takes on the visage of faces. You have these swirling, like the spirits of those that have gone before him, swirling around him. They lift him up on wires like he's defying gravity. Very, very intense.
But you know what's kind of interesting, though? I suppose in the remake, the final fight should happen in the Chihuly Museum in St. Petersburg, Florida. The guy's an artist that works with glassware. I'm just thinking, what's the worst thing?
Oh my god!
With destroying all this priceless artwork. I'm sorry.
That
anyway,
would be horrible.
Moving on to that's it for tonight. Which became Highlander? The guy's screenplay that he sold. You're saying, okay, yeah. Welcome to Geeky Geezers. First news of the night. Unfortunately,
this is rough. Yeah,
we are not immortal, and we have some in memoriams to say tonight. At least not on this earth. Lonnie Anderson, 79. Lonnie Anderson, the twice Emmy-nominated star of WKRP in Cincinnati, died Sunday in Los Angeles, surrounded by her family days before her 80th birthday. Her cause of death was an acute, prolonged illness. Her longtime publicist, Cheryl J. Kagan, told Deadline. We are heartbroken to announce the passing of our dear wife, mother, and grandmother, Anderson's family said in a statement. Anderson is best known for her role as the clever receptionist Jennifer Marlowe in CBS sitcom about the eccentric staff of a struggling top 40 rock radio station in Ohio, created by Hugh Wilson. The multi-run comedy ran from 1978 to 1982. Yeah, WKRP in Cincinnati. They didn't say the title was. Okay. And had 90 episodes. She appeared in all but one of the series' 90 episodes. Her vivacious character cemented her as a bona fide TV sex symbol and subverted stereotypical dumb blonde tropes. As Jennifer remained savvy among a team of often incompetent workers refusing to do the typical receptionist chores like fetch coffee or take dictation. For her work, Anderson garnered 2 Emmy Award nominations in 1980 and 1981 for supporting actress in the comedy, a variety, or music series, as well as 3 Golden Globes. Born Lonnie K. Anderson on August 5, 1945 in St. Paul, Minnesota, the actress began her career as a beauty queen, taking after her model mother. Though known as a blonde bombshell, Anderson was naturally black-haired, saying in a 2020 interview, "I loved being a brunette. It was exotic. People weren't quite sure what nationality I was. There was a mystery. When acting, I could play the bad lady." Initially, Anderson turned down the big gig on WKRP, saying she liked the show but not the part. "I went and said on my little soapbox, I don't want to play this part because she's just here to deliver messages and is window dressing." Then Hugh said, "Well, how would you do it?" Anderson recalled, "Let's make her look like Lana Turner and be the smartest person in the room." So that's interesting. Okay, so that's kind of the start of that character.
And that was her character, because this was my issue. Her hair is just you look at that picture on the right, way too blonde, I always thought. And I know what they were going for. And so they were literally going for, but she had some of the wittiest lines on the show. There was no doubt she was sharp as a tack, which actually kind of carried over into a lot of her other roles. If anything, she got typecast as the smart blonde, you know?
Lonnie will always be Jennifer Marlowe to me. Okay,
yeah.
Good to know.
I do. This is one of those examples where you look at her now, look at her then, and you're like, I think in a lot of ways she got better looking. She has much better hair in the picture on the left, in my opinion. Of course, then I kind of look around my my monitor, and I'm like, yep. I have a type.
No, it's sad she's gone, but she did leave a lot of thing.
Yep.
But
she also did the swimsuit posters and the whatnots back in the late 70s.
She was actually in a lot of other things. She was in other TV credits included SWAT, The Incredible Hulk, The Love Boat, Policewoman, Barnaby Jones, Bob Newhart Show, and Three's Company. In later years, the new WKRP in Cincinnati, Emptiness, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and Clueless.
About that. Yeah.
She was in a lot of stuff. I'm kind of thinking of who she was on Three's Company. I think she was like maybe a love interest for Jack one episode or something. Maybe that's what
I don't really remember. Because oftentimes those were like just one spots, guest appearances and whatnot. But yeah, she was in a lot of things.
Sometimes that might happen. Like she might have a guest stint on Three's Company. They liked her, said, "You want to be on the show, the WKRP in Cincinnati?"
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't find out that she was also in a number of those variety shows that we've talked about over the years.
Of course. In 1995, she penned the New York Times bestselling autobiography, My Life in High Heels, which she said about the growth of a woman who survives my childhood, the death of my parents, my career, my divorces, and my children. Then, of course, the trauma of my marriage to Burt. Oh, that's right. She was married to Burt Reynolds.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, rest in peace, Lonnie Anderson. Sorry you've left us. But, yeah. And of course, we have another death, and Apollo 13 astronaut Jim Lovell dead at 97.
A true American hero, very fascinating individual. Hopefully, we'll get into some of that with this article.
It's Lovell, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. Famed NASA astronaut Jim Lovell, who commanded the harrowing Apollo 13 mission that was forced to abandon a lunar landing attempt in 1970, has died. He was 97. Did something go wrong on that mission? Maybe they shouldn't have named it 13. I'm just saying. I'm sorry.
I heard they had a problem, yes.
Okay. Yes, Houston, we have a problem. Lovell died on August 7th in Lake Forest, Illinois, according to a NASA news release.
He was a local boy.
Yeah, okay, great. The cause of death was not immediately clear. Lovell's family requested privacy, but said, "We are saddened to announce the passing of our beloved father, USN Captain James A. Jim Lovell, a Navy pilot and officer, astronaut, leader, and space explorer," in a statement. "We are enormously proud of his amazing life and career accomplishments, highlighting his legendary leadership in pioneering human space flight," the family noted in a statement. "But to all of us, he was dad, granddad, and the leader of our family. Most importantly, he was our hero. We will miss his unshakable optimism, his sense of humor, and the way he made each of us feel we could do the impossible. He was truly one of a kind." You know, when I think of what the people who might represent the best of the United States, I think it might be him.
Agreed.
Because that was truly something. You know, the U.S. will be known for its space missions for centuries to come.
Yep.
Lovell was already well known among NASA astronauts, having flown space on the Gemini 7, Gemini 12, and Apollo 8 missions before we selected Command Apollo 13, which would have marked NASA's third successful crewed moon landing. But during the ill-fated mission, which carried Lovell as well as astronauts John Swigert Jr. and Fred Hayes Jr. on board, an oxygen tank located in the crew's service module exploded, and they were about 200,000 miles away from Earth. Lovell delivered the news to Mission Control, saying, "Houston, we've had a problem." We, of course, know that was said by Tom Hanks in the movie Apollo 13. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
With Kevin Bacon. So there's no degrees of Kevin Bacon with that movie, is there?
Well, yeah, exactly. he's 0 degrees removed from Kevin Bacon. That's true.
But with the damage effectively taking place, taking out their power source and other life sources, the Apollo 13 crew had to abruptly abandon their trek to the lunar surface and use several engine burns to swing around to the far side of the moon and pull themselves on a course back toward Earth. That's incredible. I mean, you can see it in the movie too. Yeah,
you can see. Yeah, I know I saw the movie, but I've read a lot more about that mission, and it's incredible. I have to imagine that there's a lot of stuff that didn't actually even make it into the movie that was just that much more incredible. Yeah. These guys were just incredible at thinking on their feet, so to speak. You know, it was even in his delivery of that line, "Houston, we've had a problem," and it was a catastrophic problem, but he just delivered it so, you know, because that's how you did it. You know, it's this is mission critical, and this is the situation, and losing your head is not going to help anything. So, you know, yeah.
All right. Yeah, it's sad. Lovell was part of NASA's second ever astronaut class, selected September 1966, nicknamed New 9, became the first astronaut to make 4 space flights, totaling more than 715 hours in space, and joining the Apollo 13 crew after first served on Apollo 8, which intentionally circumnavigated the moon but did not land on its surface, made Lovell the first human to see the moon up close for a second time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's sad. I mean, we are losing. To be fair, I mean, how old was he? What was the age
97.
on him? 97. Okay. I'll say this: astronauts have to be in great physical shape to get into space, at least especially back then. Now, I guess they can ship anyone up there.
I am presuming that he kept himself in really good shape because to live to 97 is incredible. It really is.
To be an astronaut, you just weren't physically fit. You had to be freaking smart. So no Katy Perry. You are not an astronaut. Oh,
that's absolutely true. That is very true. These guys, you don't even realize they had to know a lot about a lot. They had to know how to do maths, engineering, all kinds of stuff, and they had to be able to think outside the box. You know?
Yeah, because basically you're having to fill a lot of roles up there, aren't you? I mean, Troy, that's the kind of people who NASA was looking for, personnel and crew who could keep a level head in a high stress environment. Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why they did the test before they would send them up there.
You don't even realize they had all these physical tests you had to go through. There was a lot of psychological tests you had to go through too, and see how you could get along with each other. You know, if you could get along by yourself for long periods of time, isolation. Yeah, there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
If 13 is a non-lucky number, then 12 and 14 are guilty by association. Check out the last call stream where we talked about superstitions. Okay.
That's true. That's very true. It's very true. That was something I said. I'm like, did they put any Italians on that Apollo 13 mission? If they had, maybe things would have gone a little bit differently. 13 is a lucky number for Italians.
Interesting. I always thought 13. I mean, I know it has other origins, but I always thought it represented Judas. Like in Christianity, that's why it was
there's been folklore to that effect. I'm not sure how much that really plays into it.
Probably they tried. Maybe they tacked that on for.
I can tell you that you know, if you think about the typical greaseball Italian with the gold chains and stuff like that, you'll always see them wearing a 13 as a pendant. That's the thing.
You know what the unlucky number in Japan is? 4.
Interesting.
It means death.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes
things like that have to do with how the word is said, like and if the word sounds like another word. So I don't know what 4 is in Japanese, so I wouldn't know.
So it's like
Alexa, what's the Japanese word for 4?
4 in Japanese is yon.
Okay, maybe yon.
Wait a minute. She may have thought I meant FOR, not FOUR. So, Alexa, what is the Japanese word for the number 4?
The number 4 in Japanese is number 4.
Well, there you go. You're right. It was different. Although she probably just literally translated the number 4. So
I don't know, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. But if you ever watch Iron Chef Japan, they would always have the 4 chefs come out, and then you'd have Iron Chef Japan, Iron Chef China, Iron Chef France would be on one stage, and then the 4th one, Iron Chef Italy, would be on a separate podium away from the other 3 because they didn't want to have all 4 together because it was, I guess, bad luck.
Unlucky. Oh, interesting. interesting. I didn't know that.
All right, anyway. So moving on to gaming. This is kind of neat. I kind of didn't get a chance to talk about the physical editions of Mortal Kombat Collection, but since there's been another update, and now I found an article that combines the two, so now we're caught up. But Mortal Kombat Trilogy confirmed for Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection physical editions announced. So now we get both. I'm going to explain. Well, let's read the article, and then it's confusing. So, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is the latest retrospective compilation by Atari 50 and the making of Karetica developer Digital Clips, bundling the earliest Mortal Kombat titles across arcade, console, and handheld. It's shaping up to be a robust offering for diehard fans. During EVO 2025, the fan favorite Mortal Kombat Trilogy was also confirmed for the title. Mortal Kombat Trilogy was released in 1996 and is the final version of Mortal Kombat 3, following Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 that boasted every character and stage from previous games up to that point. Trilogy introduced brutalities, a combo-focused alternative to fatalities that is only resurfaced in modern Mortal Kombat games, and the short-lived Aggressor Bar, which grants fighters increased speed and damage when filled. Trilogy was available on the PlayStation, Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, PC, and even Tiger's R-Zone headset handheld. Did you have a Tiger R-Zone, Troy? Do you even know what that is?
I did not.
Oh, man. Oh.
I did. The only
other
than the arcade, the only place that I played Mortal Kombat was on the PC. I'm just noticing the one that's highlighted there, Sonya Blade.
Yes.
Sonya Blade,
Like
obviously.
her.
Oh yeah. Is that the original model? Bridget Wilson?
That's the actress. You could see her, and they showed her outtake. She still has her costume too. She did an interview recently.
She still looks great.
She looks great in the costume. Yeah. No, she still looks great. But this was the original Mortal. This is basically the Ultimate Mortal Kombat version. Was Mortal Kombat Trilogy, because basically it just had everything for all the other games in one game. But Trilogy joins the growing list of games in the collection, which includes multiple versions of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, as well as the handheld entries such as the Game Boy Advance titles. Several games now boast online multiplayer with rolled-back netcode. The Legacy Collection also features a new interactive documentary, a Digital Eclipse trademark detailing Mortal Kombat's history with over 25 interview subjects, including creators Ed Boon and John Tobias. This is very much like the Tetris Forever they put out a little while ago, and also the Atari 50th anniversary, which they're actually adding the Namco thing on, which I talked about a couple weeks ago. So they're almost like interactive museums where you could just play the games, or if you want, you can watch interviews and go through a timeline, and you can actually play. And it's like being in like I almost want to say it's like a virtual museum where you get to go in, you look at the developers, but then you can actually play the actual games they're talking about. Do you understand? So it's kind of neat that they do this.
One thing that I feel like we're really missing out on is, especially in this age of these kinds of games, for a while there on the different streaming services, we're starting to get into these interactive films or whatever, where you could make choices.
Yeah.
And I just feel like something like Mortal Kombat would lend itself so well to that, where you have one overarching story of the lore of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and then you can see who wins the match.
Choose who, and you would actually have to have footage filmed for every single character, so that you would have, like, I don't know, what is that, like 15 different stories depending on who you choose. So in one, Jax wins, but of course that means that all the others get brutalized, right? So, but then you can watch it again and see what happens when Sonya Blade wins, and then you can watch it again when Luke Cage wins.
Exactly. Oh wait, look at this. I don't know how to feel about the original casting of Bridget. Do I have lipstick on my teeth? Well, that was from the movie that came out back in the 90s. I thought she was fine. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I need to watch the newer Mortal Kombat movie they made.
And let's face it, she's matured very, very well.
Oh, really? I haven't seen her in anything since Beverly Hills Ninja. She kind of vanished.
She still does guest appearances at conventions and whatnot.
All right.
So, yeah.
But I did want to also make a mention, though, about the physical edition. So what do we always say on this channel? Own physical media. Well, this is going to be available in physical media. So the standard edition, which will be $59.99 for the Switch 2, probably because it's actually going to be on the card. It's not going to be one of those crappy game key cards. They're actually going to put it on the card.
Right.
So they probably
exactly.
But $49.99 for PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series XS. So if you can get it for the I know I could also confirm for you if you have an Xbox One, if you buy the physical edition, it comes with both the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One game on the disc. There's a PlayStation 5 version. Those who pre-order from Atari will get one of 4 exclusive Ninja-themed slipcovers based on Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Reptile, and Smoke. The physical standard edition is available for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and regular Switch. It'll ship on December 12th. There's going to be a deluxe edition. This will be $79.99 on Switch 2, $69.99 on regular PlayStation 5 and Switch. Packs in a steelbook case, magnet, poster, lenticular card, arcade flyers, mini marquees. Those are the signs that go above the arcade.
Oh my gosh.
And an arcade cabinet cards. This version will be available for PlayStation 5, Switch 2, and Switch. Will ship December 12th.
That's pretty wild.
Lastly, the collector's edition, $149.99, includes a Goro controller holder statue, a commemorative arcade token, a hardcover art book and lore book, and a Scorpion Sub-Zero pin set. This edition will be available for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, Switch, and PC. There's no shipping date for the collector's edition. So, looks cool. Looks whatever version you're getting will be a good deal. And if you're a fan of classic Mortal Kombat games and you own a modern console, or if you own a PC, by the way, you can still get these classic editions on PC, but I think it gives you a Steam code or something instead because they don't have physical editions for PC. But neat. So no PS4 version. I didn't see one, Jesse. Sorry about that. You can get it digitally on the PS4, so you're going to get a downloadable version. You can do that. Or wait for it to go on sale if you don't. But yeah, sorry. I didn't see one in there. Maybe they'll announce one at a later date, but right now I didn't see anything. Oh, wow. I didn't know about this. I meant to talk about this a few months ago. The Terminator No Fate game they're developing. Pre-orders apparently have already sold out of it. They're making a Terminator 2 game, but it's basically a Terminator 2 game that if they had made one well when the original movie came out, what it would have been like. And it's like 2D.
Wow, that's interesting.
So I might talk about that. I'll look for an article on that maybe for next time. But yeah, that game does look good. They even have Linda Hamilton's likeness in it and stuff. And the guy who played the T-1000 in it too. Other classic game news this week, though. QuakeCon's going on. And with QuakeCon, we get an announcement of a new Boomer Shooter remaster.
You're fired up, right?
Well, I'm excited. 1 year after the surprise launching of Doom plus Doom 2, id Software and Night Dive have done it again, this time with the classic fantasy shooters Heretic and Hexen, which have been bundled together and updated with performance improvements and enhanced soundtrack by Andrew Hulschult, local and online multiplayer, built-in mod support, and more. The new Heretic plus Hexen bundle includes 3 originals, Heretic, Shadow of the Serpent Riders, Hexen Beyond Heretic, and Hexen Death Kings of the Dark Citadel expansion, along with 2 all-new episodes creating collaboration between individuals from id Software and Night Dive Studios, Heretic, Faith Renewed, and Hexen Vestiges of Grandeur. It adds up to 117 campaign maps, 120 deathmatch maps. That's a lot of deathmatch maps.
Yeah.
Across Heretic and Hexen, which should keep you going for a while. Definitive release of Heretic and Hexen are available on PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch. Okay, so there you go. Enhancements include support for 4K resolutions, widescreen displays, frame rates of up to 120 frames per second, controller support, bug fixes, and game balance toggle. So this is going to be like a lot of the other great remasters Night Dive has done. Were you a Hexen guy back in the day?
I don't remember. I'm guessing not.
FKHC 2005, thank you for the super chat.
Absolutely.
What I want to mention, though, these came out around the same time as Doom, because everybody wanted to have the next Doom game, but these were fantasy themed.
Right.
So, like, you would play as a warrior, a cleric, or a wizard, and you have, like, a wand or, like, a mace or something, and you'd be fighting. It's more like a sword and sorcery-based world, as opposed to, like, Doom's space.
Trying to find ammo wherever you go, right?
Yeah, except this you find crystals that power up your wand, and you could shoot from your wand instead. Do you understand? So
it's the same dynamic. Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's Star Wars Dark Forces. It's all this stuff. Everybody was making their own Doom clones, and I'm like, sure, why not? I love Doom, and I like the other Doom games. Sure. And maybe I'm being too harsh on Heretic, and maybe later Hexen. I'm sure they did their own thing too. I did pick this one up right away though, because I'm like, me and boomer shooters.
Yeah, boomer shooters.
I want Blood remastered. And I know Night Dive did Blood remastered, but they did it on PC and it didn't get ported to consoles. I want Blood. That's the other big one. That's like a horror themed boomer shooter.
My gosh, man, you're bloodthirsty.
No, it's like you're going after this evil. No, you're going after like this evil, like devil worshipping cult, and it's like a horror themed first person shooter. I remember even when I tried venturing into PC gaming, I think I got Blood for a PC I had at the time, but I couldn't get it to run properly. So I've always wanted to play Blood. But in the meantime, I do have Heretic. Hey, next QuakeCon, get Blood ready. Get Blood ready for consoles. Add some stuff to the PC version. Make it a definitive edition. Yeah, Heretic and Hexen are now available. So if y'all who missed out and want to pretend you're living in the early 90s again, as most of us do, so go ahead and pick this up, and you get it on PC or your favorite console of choice. It's on everything, so including PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4, the console that refuses to die. I made a joke that you could pretty much ride out the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 6 comes out, and you would have been fine skipping the PS5. I couldn't really find a proper image for this, so I'm like, we'll just go with the standard logo.
It's more than they deserve.
Nintendo forces Japanese charity event to pull its games from the lineup, claiming unauthorized use. A Japanese charity speedrun series has been forced to pull Nintendo titles from its latest event because the publisher believes the showcase of its games constitutes unauthorized use. Event organizers say they will now have to ask for explicit permission for each Nintendo game they want to showcase in the future. RTA in Japan announced yesterday that Nintendo games have been removed from the lineup at the next event, which runs from August 9th through August 15th. After contact from this publisher, according to a translation of the article from Automation, Nintendo said that as a legal entity, they would have to ask for permission in advance to use any of the publisher's titles in future events. On its website, RTA in Japan notes that it was inspired by the American charity speedrun event Games Done Quick, and each event typically benefits Doctors Without Borders. Given the good vibes and tons of money for charity GDQ brings in every year, I imagine most folks reading this would agree that these sorts of charity speedrun events are net good in the world, but Nintendo's got a long history of saying no to public exhibitions of its games. RTA of Japan wants to stay in the company's good graces, so it's complying with the permission request for future events. While Nintendo's notice came all the way back in June, the parties were seemingly unable to work out an agreement in time for the August event. That's 2 months! So who knows how much red tape may lie in for those permission requests. Plus, I don't know if Nintendo wants to be associated with Doctors Without Borders, honestly. What is this?
Yeah.
Are there people out there against Doctors Without Borders? I think they're just there to save people's lives, right? It was wiser than I might not have bought a Nintendo product, even if I was wiser than I might have bought a Nintendo product even as a kid. Well, here's what I'm going to say, Lester Skeptic Tank. I think right now, it's really been the last couple of years, I think they're under new management. I think ever since Iwata left, something's, and then Reggie Fils-Aimé left, I think the new people they have, there's something wrong.
Very much so.
Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm not saying they've been perfect.
I am not even exaggerating when I say Nintendo has become evil. Period. It's like they're going out of their way to kick babies at this point.
Yeah, what is Nintendo's beef? Geez, all I hear from them is ravenous copyright wolves. Is there something in the Japanese water? No, I don't know what. But you don't hear Sony going nuts on this stuff, or even Capcom or Square Enix. I don't see Capcom saying you can't play Mega Man at your speedrun event. They don't care. I mean, it's a charity, and it's people playing their games. It's so yeah, I don't know, but Jesse Carhardo.
I'm gonna say it right now. Okay. Nintendo has no honor. Period. Come at me, Nintendo. Defend your honor.
Yes, but only babies that play Sega. I used to have like I said, in my household we were split. My brother had Sega, I had Nintendo, because there's no point in me buying his console. And like I said, Sega was not my first choice. First choice was the TurboGrafx 16, but that didn't make it here in the United States. Exhibited by the fact that nobody knows what the TurboGrafx 16 is. So.
I feel like, you remember when you turn on the Sega, it would go, Sega, and you get that little chime. I feel like you would turn on Nintendo and you would get Nintendo.
Well, here's the thing. Well, maybe that happens with the Switch too now. I know with Sega, that would happen when you turn on a Sonic game. But I don't know. They're not in good humor right now, and I wish someone would kind of talk to them that this sort of stuff. This is very bad PR.
Yes, it is.
And it would be one thing, and apparently
this
2
is
months
not helping their bottom line. It really is not.
Like, even if they wanted permission, it seems like they reached out back in June and they were talking, so you could have gotten this all squared away before the event. Just say, okay, here's 10 games you can play at your event that are popular, and you can, and that would have avoided the bad press, even if you wanted them to get permission. Instead, it's just... You get this now in the news. This is not making them look good. So, I don't know. I dug Bonk's adventures, thought he was cooler than Sonic or Mario. I loved Bonk. Bonk was the TurboGrafx 16 mask character. He was a caveman, and he would literally use his head to bash enemies.
I like him already.
Yes. That was a very heavy metal system, if I say so, TurboGrafx 16. Now we move on to Rockstar Games and Grand Theft Auto 6.
Oh, boy, here we go.
And I figured this is a nice picture. This has a kid from the back, so I'm not showing his face on TV.
Right.
He's playing Grand Theft Auto 5, because apparently Grand Theft Auto 6 is new. Grand Theft Auto 6 Online's new requirement could have massive implications. What's going on here? 2025 has been a tumultuous time for the video game industry. The Nintendo Switch 2 has launched amid concerns about rising hardware and software prices. Xbox is shifting toward a multi-platform strategy. Sony has had to delay Marathon indefinitely so soon after unlaunching Concord, and online storefronts like Steam are being pressured by payment processors into minimizing their one-sizable, not safe for work offerings. In the midst of all this, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been slowly releasing news on its way toward a 2026 launch date. While it's just one game in the middle of the storm, a lot is still running in Grand Theft Auto 6 because it's probably the most anticipated game there is right now, actually. Rockstar Games' next open-world AAA title is already assumed to be an industry-shaping mega hit, with the only question remaining being how big it will be and what form it will take. Grand Theft Auto is now a mainstay online multiplayer component, Grand Theft Auto Online. I'll explain this to you. So in addition to the story-driven single-player game, there's also a major online mode in Grand Theft Auto. So you get both, basically. You understand? You also get an online game with it. That's one of the reasons why it stayed so popular over the years. People played the online mode. But Grand Theft Auto Online, one of the most popular video game franchises with enough mainstream pull, the industry analysts have predicted the Grand Theft Auto 6 release will boost current generation console sales by a huge margin. But as we know, in July 2025, the United Kingdom integrated the first protection of children codes of practice into its Online Safety Act 2023 framework, and its impact was felt almost immediately. Without getting into much detail, online services likely to be accessed by children need to be implemented measures that prevent minors from engaging with adult-oriented content. This is largely unrelated to the ongoing not safe for work issues on Steam and Itch are working through, but is expected to affect gaming all at the same time. And one of the earliest out-of-the-box complaint games is rumored to be Grand Theft Auto 6. Although Rockstar hasn't confirmed anything, several leakers and anonymous sources have declared that Grand Theft Auto 6 will follow the Online Safety Act. It's expected to have age verification measures at launch in the United Kingdom and will then be revised as necessary and spread to other parts of the world. Features that could be restricted include photo sharing, in-game chat, and possibly GTA Online's lobbies as a whole, which would be cut out a significant portion of Grand Theft Auto 6. Unlocking multiplayer features would require some kind of age or identity verification and then produces a personal security risk for adults, which is unfortunately the cost of the system existing. How everything will work is something to change, but the fact remains that a good chunk of the younger players in the UK and eventually the rest of the world are set to be locked out of Grand Theft Auto 6 online. Any miner with a copy of Grand Theft Auto 6 probably has the means to bypass security measures like using Death Stranding 2's Norman Reedus' face exploit. I don't know what that is. Apparently, Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
He's in a game, Death Stranding, and apparently people are able to use his face exploit to cheat some online verifications, even though it's a CG version of him. It's very strange.
Well, I think that the gamers, especially all of these folks that are, the stop destroying games crowd, need to start voting with their wallets and saying, you know what, fine, you do what you want, but you're going to do it without my patronage.
There are people out there already saying if I have to upload some kind of driver's license or other ID to play this game, I'm not buying it. I've heard people say that about Grand Theft Auto 6, and that's shocking. Because this is, of course, the game everybody wants. And again, these are just rumors, but keep in mind that Rockstar Games is a UK company. This is a British game company. So
that's fine. They can go out of business.
It wouldn't shock me that they would be going along with this. And if they go along with the UK, fine. But I'm worried they're going to roll it out to the rest of the world.
That's fine. They can go out of business, and then some other company can make some other kind of clone of this game, and pick up the business. No problem.
How do we know all this information people are uploading is secure anyway? Like if I upload my driver's license,
it's absolutely not, because you hear about breaches all the time.
Oh no. Well, yeah, parents need to stop letting the kids play the games. Well, technically, it's the way these games work. The M-rated games work, Geek Flag. It's like an R-rated movie. If I, as a parent, am going to allow my son to watch an R-rated movie, that's one thing. But the kid cannot go and buy or go into a theater without my okay, or without my being with him in the theater, or without my purchasing it for him. That's usually how these things work. And
why is that not still the case? How are these games bought today? If they're not being bought physically, where you might have
you would buy them online with a credit card.
You would buy them online with a credit card. Exactly. You need mom's credit card, so mom has to say, yeah, no, I don't think I want you playing this.
If you're a kid in a store and you bring an M-rated game up to the counter, you cannot buy that game. The person behind the register will not sell it to you. You have to have a parent do it for you, because we
definitely don't need companies parenting our children, and we don't need governments parenting our children. Parents, it's about time you start taking responsibility for your own kids, damn it.
Anyway, I'm very curious. I think this is going to be a big test if this is actually going to happen, because this is the most anticipated game. Will people ignore this and still bite and go along with the new rules, or will they fight with their wallets and say, no, I'm not taking part of this because I'm not uploading my personal information up to the server? That's what I'm very curious about with this game. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Gina Carano.
Yeah. Here we go.
I find this a little bittersweet, but I'll talk to you about it in a minute. Disney and Lucasfilm have settled a lawsuit with Gina Carano, who accused the studios of discrimination and wrongful termination over her firing on The Mandalorian. In a statement, a Lucasfilm spokesperson said, with this lawsuit concluded, we look forward to identifying opportunities to work together with Ms. Carano in the near future. Who is the Lucasfilm spokesperson? These people are always nameless. It drives me crazy.
It doesn't matter, because they're speaking with the authority of Lucasfilm. This is the official line. It doesn't matter who it comes from, as long as we know it's representative of the party line that Lucas is trying to espouse.
We have reached an agreement with Gina Carano to resolve the issues in her pending lawsuit against the companies, and added Ms. Carano was always well respected by her directors, co-stars, and staff, and she worked hard to perfect her craft while treating her colleagues with kindness and respect. That sounds way different than the words you used when you fired her.
I know, and something tells me that this is part of that settlement. I mean, wasn't part of the settlement like she wanted an apology? I think that's the closest you get to an apology.
It's ridiculous. And let's be honest with you, they didn't want the dirt coming out. That's part of why this is settled out of court.
I'm certain of it.
I wanted to know who fired her. Anyway, I guess we'll never quite know.
Well,
Kathleen
I guess
Kennedy
it doesn't
denied
matter.
it was her. Did you know that? Kathleen Kennedy
yeah.
denied it was her.
Well, and that doesn't earn her any points, because are you not responsible for the entire Lucasfilm? So someone under you did. Sorry, you're still responsible, whether you believe you are or not. Maybe you shouldn't be in charge if you don't understand what that means. But be that as it may, it kind of doesn't matter, because this statement from Disney is in every way a backpedal. And they're basically saying, yeah, no, we're looking for opportunities to work with her again in the future. So, if you say something like that, you're basically saying anything that someone said in the past, we recant all of that.
My theory is that they were probably not going to renew her contract, and it was going to be more like a quiet dismissal. But she would just walk away and no harm done, because I don't think she knew anything about that anyway. Then I think someone over at Lucasfilm who had a beef with either her or Jon Favreau or somebody else decided, let's make this public announcement. Now, I think that might have been done behind Kathleen Kennedy's back.
A lot of people and a lot of outlets have already gone into this whole debate about, well, she was fired. No, she wasn't fired. Well, that says she was fired. No, she wasn't fired. Okay. Let's get down to brass tacks and look at it from the legal perspective, right? If she says, well, look at this article. They said they fired me. They're going to say, regardless of what someone said in an article, whether they were authorized to say it by Disney or not, there's a separate issue. You were up for a role for a project that never actually happened. There is no legal precedent for you to say you were fired because they didn't go ahead with a project. That happens all the time in Hollywood.
Like we don't have another Boba Fett season yet, or another.
Exactly. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean that. I'm sorry, I forget the actor's name. Has been fired. It just means they didn't decide to continue and do another one. Yes, somebody clearly had a personal beef with her, but she didn't go for defamation or something like that. She went more for being fired for cause, and something tells me that wasn't as strong a case as people like to believe it was. And I think that when you get down to brass tacks, on her side, she might not have had that strong a case, but on the other side, Disney, in order to fight that case, would have still had to go to discovery. So she still had that on them. So both sides had a reason to say, yeah, this isn't in the bag for me, and I stand to lose significantly. Maybe we can come to a certain ground. So I was talking with someone else offline about, well, did she win or did she not win? Is this a victory or is this not a victory? And I'm like, it really depends on how you define that. When you have a settlement, from a legal standpoint, nobody wins, right? Or both sides win. It just depends on how you want to spin it for yourself. It is a compromise. So you both get something out of it that you want, but maybe not everything, right? And we're never going to know the details of what that was. But it sounds to me in every way, at least from their official statements, both Gina and Lucasfilm are happy with the outcome. So they could both claim victory.
Yeah. So her case was very strong, Troy, because they fired her and then they gave a statement while letting other employees say way worse than what she said, and still let him say to this day. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't respect Lucasfilm right now for a whole host of reasons.
And I think a lot of people don't.
I think that they're very creatively bankrupt. I'm going to say that with a lot of the stuff they do over there.
And what matters is not the actual statement about this case or the actual compromise. What matters is what we see them do in the next 5 years or so. Is she going to be back in this role? Is she going to have a cameo in this Mando film? Are they going to go ahead with Knights of the Old Republic? Because those kinds of things say more than just something about this case. It also says, yeah, we are also looking to get the fans back. We realize how badly this damaged Star Wars, you know, we want to earn the fans back. Now, whether or not that's possible, that's a different discussion. I'm just talking about what they may be broadcasting. On the other hand, they may just be saying, okay, yeah, let's just move on. Either way, as fans, we need to pay attention to that. We need to see where this goes. And again, don't listen to rumors. Don't speculate. All of that is fugazi. Pay attention to what Disney actually does and judge them based on that. And we don't know yet. So wait and see.
Fantastic Four wasn't doing the numbers they wanted it to do.
It absolutely isn't. So I'm starting to see some press coming up, some behind the scenes whispers that they're quietly going into crisis mode over at the MCU, and there's some powwows scheduled for the next couple months to try and figure out what the hell they're going to do, because this is not where they need to be going into the next phase of MCU. It is a downward spiral.
They've had a bunch of disasters since Endgame. First and most.
If someone could have just seen this coming, if someone could have just realized they were making bad decisions and told Disney about this, oh, that's right, we did.
Well, not everything was their fault. Chadwick Boseman passed away, and I know they were going to be using him as Black Panther, then they ended up having to make a Black Panther.
How they dealt with it absolutely was their fault.
Yes, and then
they used it as an excuse to do another gender swap because, oh no, we can't recast anybody. They need to get out of this mindset that they can't recast. They've
recast people. They recast
recast War Machine. They've recast
Ross.
General Ross 3 times already.
All right. Anyway,
they've recast the Hulk 3 times.
The Fantastic Four first step sadly continues a negative Marvel Cinematic Universe trend set up by the franchise's previous film.
They also recast Reed Richards. Just saying, guys. Just a reminder. This is a recast of Reed Richards.
Okay.
Could have been John Krasinski.
Well, no, that was an alternative universe of Reed Richards, and of course, Reed Richards has to look different in every universe because that's how we do. Was that ever a thing in the comics with people looking radically different from their other?
No, in the comics, alternate universes of people, if they crossed over, nobody knew. You could literally take the place of your doppelganger in the other universe, and nobody would know.
Okay, well, when I heard
if there was an age difference, like Earth 1 and Earth 2 Superman, when Earth 1 Superman came over to Earth 2, Clark would always say, "This is my my uncle," or
I see.
Relative, older relative.
Oh, the resemblance is uncanny. That's what people probably say. Right?
Yeah, it's like this is exactly what you're going to look like when you get older.
It's so believable.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly.
Well, there have been fun Fantastic Four movies in the past. The definitive version of the team has only now come to the big screen. The MCU's first Fantastic Four movie is great and from start to finish. I heard it was good. I heard it was one of the better projects they've done since the whole Avengers thing ended. First up's post-credits is crucial to the franchise future, setting up the next 2 Avengers movies. Based on how Marvel Studios made it feel like a family and their powers shown on screen, I thought Fantastic Four First Steps would be a hit. Fantastic Four First Steps budget was reportedly $200 million. Based on that, we know how much the movie needs to make to break even. The MCU's Fantastic Four movie will be fine if it ends its worldwide run at $400-500 million range. However, Marvel was looking for a profit with Fantastic Four, which means it might not amount to much. So it's probably going to break even. That's what I'm hearing from this. I've heard there's been another problem too. They can't rely on the Chinese box office like they did with the older Marvel films. Is that right?
Again, if we could only have foreseen this coming. Oh wait, we have.
Anyway. So yeah. So what's going on over at Disney? Are they trying to figure out a way to fix this? Because they lost Kang too. Remember they had Kang, right? Jonathan, what's his name? He was Kang, and then he got into trouble.
And
with
all
a
they got to do
girlfriend,
is
and
friggin'
then
recast him. Yes. If they had a plan for his story, they should have just friggin' recasted him. They can recast any of these characters.
Well, because when they showed the alternate universe Kangs in that one thing, they all looked like him.
Exactly. See,
Kang was going to be the major villain going forward. Like that was what. Yeah. It was not going to be Doctor Doom. It was going to be Kang.
That is exactly my problem. You can't say, well, he's an alternate universe, so he looks different. They already established with Kang alternate universe versions of the same person are played by the same actor. It's just,
Disney is as dead as fried chicken.
But if you recast, you have to say, you know what? This is what he always looked like. War Machine always looked like Don Cheadle. Just,
I'm saying that the Loki multiverse series established. This is another
also
problem.
Talking about someone who can take any form he wants to. That's kind of a different situation.
You have all these Disney Plus series too mucking around and screwing with the movie continuity.
Oh yeah, try to reconcile Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with WandaVision and anything else that came out. We have two different instances of the dark whatever that grimoire is.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., oddly enough, was smarter about what it did, because I think in the final season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., while they're doing all their stuff, they actually have to go into an alternative Earth toward the end of the series. Mm-hmm. And that's how they end up there, which might explain, was now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. taking place in an alternative MCU where many of the same events happen, but it's slightly different. It gives me a headache to think about it. And I'll be honest with you, poor Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did its best to walk around the MCU movies while being ignored by the MCU movies. And then you have these Disney Plus series screwing around with things, and then the MCU movies have to acknowledge the stuff that happened on them.
And therein lies the problem. The whole point of all of this is to bolster the lattice work that supports your overarching lore. And if you're going to make everything, well, that's an alternate universe and that's an alternate. That's how they end up in the situation they're in. Where, okay, now I don't need to see the last movie and I don't need to see your crap on your streaming show because all of it's completely separate. So it doesn't matter. They've more than shot themselves in the foot. They've cut their legs off.
Ironheart will save us all. I forgot. Yeah, right. That's the problem. I keep forgetting half these series even came out. Like there was Echo, that was another one. It's like they greenlit tons of these Marvel series for Disney Plus because they were trying to.
I'm just getting my agita up. Maybe we should move on. This movie lost money, regardless of what they want you to believe, and we'll move on.
Sherry Redstone's farewell message to Paramount employees. You like that picture of her waving goodbye?
I mean, yeah.
On the eve of Sherry Redstone closing $8 billion deal that will end her family's decades-long stewardship of Paramount Global and the predecessor company, she sent out a memo to staffers expressing gratitude for their work and shared optimism of the new company's prospects as it gets taken over by David Edelson's Skydance Media. Subject line of her memo read, "Thank you for your talent, hard work, and dedication. I'll be cheering for you always. My family and I have always loved this company. While it's not easy to step away, I'm very proud of the company that we have created, the culture upon which it is built, and the collaboration that is at the core of who we are and what we do," Redstone wrote in the note. Under leadership of co-CEOs George Cheeks, Chris McCarthy, and Brian Robbins, who took on both exciting and difficult decisions that come with being chief executives, every person at the company has contributed to delivering impressive performance in spite of the tough industry environment, she wrote in the memo. Redstone's National Amusements Inc. is set to receive $1.75 billion in cash upon closing at the Skydance deal. She owns 20% of NAI, and the remainder is held by a family trust, of which Summers Redstone's grandchildren are the beneficiaries. Redstone will exit the merged company's board. I don't even know. I can't even fathom what you do with that kind of money.
I know, right?
I'm worried it would mess with my head. I don't know.
I can't even begin to. But I'll tell you this:
you have no wants at this point. I mean,
True.
I guess, right?
Yeah,
that could be dangerous, but I don't know. We'll see.
Not if you just.
Not if you're responsible. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying rich people are evil. That's not what I'm saying.
As long
I think
as
the
you
temptation
keep it in
is
your
greater
head,
when you are rich. Yes.
If your head is, well, I'm wealthy, therefore it's one less thing for me to have to worry about, right?
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about, well, do I get this car or that car? I get whatever the best car is for what I need right now and move along. But this is especially true for Sherry Redstone. We brought you the news about her previously. She's got some health issues, and it became very, very clear that she wanted out of all of this. She's done with all this BS. She wanted to sell and get out. And I would say for her, this is probably a good thing. This is, amen, I can wash my hands, I'm done. And yeah, she's not leaving with any vitriol or anything. Good luck. I'll be cheering for you. She wants to see this company that her father built, do well, But
and maybe rely less on the streaming model. Because the Paramount Plus streaming model never made any sense to me. That was where their hottest show, Yellowstone, they couldn't even show on Paramount Plus.
Almost all of these streaming services. We've talked about this for what, 4 years now.
They jumped in head first without thinking first.
There was no sensible business model. It was a business model that somewhat made sense during the lockdowns, but they thought that was going to go on forever. And that was not possible. So they should have been planning for the future. And they failed. An intelligent business model would have been to start your streaming service, not be too concerned about what happens to it in the short term, and just think of it as your own private cable channel. Right? So that when the insanity stops and we can start putting movies out on the big screen again, we can go back to the original revenue model where we make our money in the theater, right? Then we bring it to physical media and make more revenue there. Then we move it to our own proprietary streaming service until, if we want to in the future, re-release it in the theaters.
I'm hoping this saves what's left of Trek. I'm hoping they shelve Trek for a few years. Shut down these Kurtzman nonsense. And because the problem is they keep wanting to jump in again, and then they jump in and they don't know what, they don't have a plan, and then it ends up a disaster.
See, they've already canceled the next season of. There is not going to be a season 2 of Academy.
Thank goodness, because it looks horrible.
So it's very clear. It's very clear they're shutting down Kurtzman. Kurtzman is not going to be recontracted. My supposition is that if there is not going to be a contract with Kurtzman going forward, that necessarily decanonizes all of Kurtzman Trek.
Good.
It has to, because for legal reasons, that whole 20% difference, blah, 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 that worked out great for them. They made nothing in licensing, and it makes it very easy for us to say, well, if we can't capitalize on it, then we're just going to shelve all of that, and that's yours. Nothing we can do with it, but there's nothing you can do with it either. And we are going to start a new series that doesn't even touch Kurtzman Trek.
I want them to take some time off from Star Trek, though. I want them to figure out what they're doing. You know what they can do in the meantime? Why don't you remaster Voyager and Deep Space Nine? Give them the treatment you gave TNG. Clean those up, and just wait a few years. frankly, I want the Abrams Kelvin timeline, and I want the secret hideout Kurtzman discovery nonsense. I want that to fade away from memory. That's what I want to happen. And then
therein lies the softer, more difficult to deal with problem that we've always had in fandom, and is these people that believe that whatever deuterocanonical thing that's out there to them is in their head canon, and for the most part the studios are going, no, it's not canon. Most hardline fans are going, no, that's not really canon. But you still have these people pushing what they read in some novel or something as absolute canon. It's like, well, you can play in your own sandbox. That's not the sandbox of Star Trek anymore. So we're always going to have people coming out playing Kling orcs. I'm glad you made this shift here, because I wanted to bring up Booger's comment. Just like the early days of cable, streaming services will bundle together eventually. This is the other problem. Part of understanding business is understanding. You try to predict the future based on what's happened in the past, and anybody with any sense knows that. We talked about this, during the most recent entertainment industry strikes. People are fighting for the same rights that they did when cable became a thing, when home media became a thing, when syndication became a thing. Every time they fight the same fight over again. Studios, you need to know this is coming. So be prepared for it and already have a plan in place. Same thing with streaming is not significantly different from cable. So everything you saw that happened when cable became a thing is going to happen with streaming. So you might want to start thinking about licensing to, for example, Netflix. So that you can go to Netflix and you can get your Paramount movies, you can get your Disney movies, you can get your Sony movies, and so forth. And they don't have to worry about it. It's all under their license, and they receive licensing fees on a regular basis, and that's another source of revenue. Revenue is the only thing that keeps you afloat. Start understanding that, business world.
So moving on to. Actually, I didn't even read the article yet, did I? Sorry.
Yeah.
David Esley formally introduced himself as to the industry as Wall Street as chairman CEO of the new Paramount in a letter posted as the deal closed, outlining where the new team will focus most of its plans. The company will operate 3 divisions: studios, direct-to-consumer, and TV media. He touched on a thoughtful use of AI integrated across businesses, on supercharging streaming spending on premium exclusive content, focusing on sports, and investment in media networks appropriately based on the future business opportunity. Ellison and other executives team will be hosting their first press conference today at Paramount Global's. Okay. Technology is not and never will be a replacement for human creativity. Rather, it serves as a powerful multiplier from personal virtual production stages that unleash filmmakers' limited imaginations to AI-assisted localization that brings shows to new language markets overnight, to a proprietary ad tech stack that maximizes yield across streaming and linear platforms. We will thoughtfully integrate these tools into every aspect of work, Ellison wrote. So basically, you get the subtitles up for Japan to watch the latest episode of Tulsa King or something that night.
I don't know. I still haven't seen Tulsa King.
Well, my point is that if there's a new series, you can get they can be translated like that. That's what I think he's looking at AI, which I'm not necessarily have a problem with. We'll see. Inevitably challenging decisions and difficult trade-offs lie ahead. We will face them head-on, maintaining transparency by openly sharing the rationale behind our choices and how they serve the best interests of our stakeholders. This all sounds good. Yeah, but time will tell, right?
Well, and this is what I said about an early, at least one other previous article. What they say is one thing, but pay more attention to what they actually do. Let's see if and how he puts this into action in the coming years. But you're right; it does sound good initially. But then again, we got what's his name over at Warner Brothers who was saying some good stuff, and then he hasn't really followed through on it. So
I will, yeah, that's a transition. I did want to make one last statement. Skydance has been rather good though with the media they produce. So maybe they're the good. Maybe they're the right ones to be holding on to Paramount.
We'll see.
But Warner Brothers targeting 12 to 14 theatrical releases.
Yeah. Remember when David Zaslav, and we brought to you how he was, it sounded like he was speaking out against, the franchise destruction that a lot of us have been upset about. And he was talking about how important Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman are. They're the pillars. We need to get back to that. Well, that was years ago. And we might maybe be kind of seeing that now. But yeah, not in any strong way, my opinion. Did we lose you, Boomer? Hello, Boomer.
I don't hear the Boomer.
Okay, well then let me bring up the article.
Oh, on my side it says he's offline, so he must have dropped out.
Okay, we lost Boomer, at least temporarily. Let me go ahead and pull up the article myself. So is this the right one? Yes. So Warner Brothers targeting 12 to 14 theatrical releases annually across key labels. What does that mean? We'll get into it. Warner Brothers Discovery said it's targeting 12 to 14 theatrical releases annually across its 4 key labels: Warner Brothers Pictures, DC Studios, New Line Cinema, and Warner Brothers Animation, going forward as the company takes a victory lap following a super second quarter at the box office. In a letter to shareholders accompanying its latest financial results, the company led by CEO David Zaslav said the releases will include 1 to 2 Warner Brothers Pictures tentpoles based on well-known Warner Brothers IP, 1 to 2 DC Studio films, 3 to 4 New Line Cinema releases including horror and comedy, and 1 to 2 Warner Brothers Animation titles, and a select number of moderately budgeted original films. And so far, it sounds pretty good. Films released by WBD's Motion Picture Group, led by Pam Abdi and Michael DeLuca, have generated over $3 billion in global box office year to date, including over $2 billion from 4 films out of the second quarter: a Minecraft movie, Sinners, Final Destination Bloodlines, and F1 for Apple, which have together generated over $2 billion in global box office to date. Welcome back, Boomer. Should I just keep reading?
Go ahead. I'll let you take on this one. I think we've been having storms outside that might have knocked me out. Okay.
Understood. Warner Brothers Studios has distributed 5 films in a row that opened to over $45 million domestically, underpinning, in quotes, our increased bullishness regarding its future creative and financial prospects, close quotes, the letter noted. We were in last place, said CEO David Zaslav on a call with analysts after the numbers, almost marveling himself at the shift of to almost first after Disney. And they're very quickly going to be surpassing Disney, I suspect. That's just me speaking. The company expects $2.4 billion in total studio profits for 2025, on the way to a $3 billion goal. The company spent a lot of the letter on the recent momentum, saying it stems from, in quotes, a deliberate rebuilding and transformation strategy executed over the last 3 years, close quotes, since Discovery acquired Warner Media. That includes a more bottom-up, analytically rigorous greenlighting process with more granular input from distribution and global marketing teams, more systematic marketing and distribution checkpoints ahead of releases with an emphasis on the final 8 weeks prior to release, and using real-time data to make better windowing decisions. Let me let me translate that for the average person. In other words, they're claiming here that they're actually going to listen to what the market wants. In other words, what the fans are demanding, and try to form strategies to meet those goals in advance, so that they're not having to go back and reshoot stuff because they made bad decisions without paying attention to the data in the first place. The film studio recognized its marketing and distribution teams in a globally integrated model that has enabled us to seamlessly coordinate film releases across territories. That resulted in some recent layoffs.
Yep.
Speculative translation. There were some people that weren't really concerned about profits. They were concerned about other things, and they need to find jobs elsewhere. With each of these measures, our goal has been to better position Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group to maximize the potential upside for creatively successful films while reducing the inherent downside risks, the letter said. Superman was from DC Studios opened to $220 million globally, the strongest DC Studios global opening since 2022. James Gunn is prepping the next one. In its long history, the DC Universe has never been managed in a more cohesive, collaborative, and strategic way. James Gunn and Peter Safran bring a unified creative vision to this beloved collection of storylines, and initial progress has heightened our long-term optimism. Gunn is busy on the next installment of the DC family, including The Batman 2 in 2027, preparing to begin shooting next spring, and the next Superman, as well as Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I believe they're dropping that portion from the title for 2026.
Just call it Supergirl.
Yeah. Clayface 2026, and the next Wonder Woman, which I'm guessing they don't have a date set for just yet.
They don't have anyone cast for it yet.
Well, of course not. It's in development. I mean, they've
already said how I want to play Wonder Woman. They're not going to cast her, though. But I wanted the actress that played Mary Marvel. I thought she'd be perfect for Wonder Woman, but oh well. What do you mean involved with the Batman 2? That's not his thing. That's Matt Reeves, unless Matt Reeves had to step away.
We'll get into that with the
next article.
The next
I know.
article, but my speculation is that they're saying, look, yes, we've got you contracted, and yes, we're going to let you do this thing, but this is the stance I said they should have taken with Nolan. Look, so and so. This isn't yours. Yes, we contracted you, and we're going to let you do your thing, but we have something bigger going on.
He has in his contract that whatever villains he decides to use, they couldn't be used by another Batman project at Warner Brothers.
They got to stop doing that. They've got to stop doing that. They've got to give James Gunn carte blanche to use any villain in any movie anywhere he wants. All of DC Comics has to fall under one umbrella. They got to stop apportioning it like this.
Why can't
There's no reason for that under Warner Brothers. I understand that under MCU when they have Universal and Sony and all these other companies owning a piece of that pie. There's nothing. Disney's hands are tied. Warner Brothers doesn't have that problem. They make that problem for themselves, and they got to stop this BS.
This is what I don't understand too about the Matt Reeves Batman thing. Okay, you want to finish off the trilogy? Finish it off then. They could do parts 2 and 3 back to back and just release them, get them out and done with, and then you can bring in your Batman into this new universe that you're...
But like I said, they never should have contracted with him the way they did in the first place. It was the same problem that they did when they contracted with Nolan. You got to say, look, I don't care that you have this idea that it takes place in a separate universe. It doesn't. If you want to write Batman, Batman exists in the DC universe. If you don't like that, go make a movie somewhere else.
So what is he? Are they tying up all the villains now, though? So, like, what villains are they even allowed to use? Or is it going to be Deathstroke? Because I heard rumored that was what the villain was going to be in the Batfleck movie, and that's why I'm very suspicious in this one. It's going to be Deathstroke. I think they're going to have Deathstroke be the villain because they can't use the Joker.
Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing is, the upside with all of this is that DC does tend to be a little bit better about keeping their rogues galleries separate. You know, Lex Luthor is Superman, and he's generally not everyone else unless there's some sort of a Justice League crossover kind of thing. You know, Batman's rogue gallery is mostly Batman's rogue gallery, or at least the Batman family. So, you know, there's generally not as big a problem as you'd have with, like, the Kingpin over at Marvel, where he's a Spider-Man villain and a Daredevil villain.
Drives me crazy.
You know, Doctor Doom, for crying out loud, Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men. I mean, he's all over the place, you know? So...
That's why I'm saying, though, but Batman has this huge rogues gallery, and are they even allowed to use any of it while this other thing is going on, while Matt Reeves still hasn't decided what villains he's using yet for his trilogy? Like, can't they just tell him, you know, you figure out what you want to use so we can use the scraps? It's going to be Professor Pig?
See,
in your family-friendly Batman movie,
maybe they
you could use Professor Pig.
Puzzler. I like that.
The Puzzler. That's what I'm saying. I mean, and Deathstroke's a good villain. He's a top-tier DC villain. I don't really see him as a Batman villain, though, but I think that's what they're going to end up doing.
Lately, Sasha at Casually Comics has been doing a series of videos about old Green Arrow villains, and there was the Red Arrow, and there was the Rainbow Archer, and there was, you know, all these other, like, oftentimes just one shots that recently DC is kind of starting to bring back a little bit. And it's like, yeah, it's those deep cuts that sometimes they need to bring back, because some of the big boys have been way overused.
Yeah, but I feel, though, especially if you're establishing a universe, you would be great if you could just have the Joker and Batman fighting it out in your first Batman movie in this new integrated universe. Of course, I already have enough problem. We've already talked about our own trepidations about this new DC universe. Anyway.
Not to mention, we've already had, like 4 different Jokers and, you know, 25
Well, then pick another big Batman villain, maybe the Riddler. But, of course, they already used the Riddler in the other Matt Reeves movie.
Penguin is already tied up in that
Penguin's tied up, too.
Kind of stuff. Yeah.
Catwoman is tied up.
And we've had, 5 different Catwomen, right?
Are they going to drag Ra's al Ghul back? Because we already saw him done in the Nolan trilogy. Speaking of Batman 2, I figured I'd pick that picture. What do you think, huh?
I know. That's a perfect one, yes. The Batman facepalm.
The Batman 2 to shoot in spring. James Gunn writing next movie in the Super Family. So this is what drives me crazy about articles like this. Yes, James Gunn is writing next movie. I don't think he's involved with this Batman series. He's doing his own Batman series. So Robert Pattinson's diary continues to fill up as Matt Reeves' The Batman sequel is preparing to shoot in the spring, according to Warner Bros. Discovery. The Batman Part 2 will begin filming next year, the company said in a letter to shareholders Thursday evening on October 1st, 2027 for theatrical release. Oh, wow, that's a ways away.
Yeah, it is.
His first DC film premiered to huge success in 2020, grossing over $770 million worldwide. Pattinson starred in the titular role and will return to Gotham in Part 2. He's been busy so far this year shooting other tentpole features, such as Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey and Denis Villeneuve's Dune 3. So here's what's interesting. You have this actor who now had to got presented with other job opportunities while they were still trying to figure out the scripts for the sequel to this movie. So now he's tied up. Elsewhere, James Gunn is already preparing to write the next installment in the Super Family. David Zaslav also confirmed with a letter detailing Gunn is working on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, Clayface, and the next Wonder Woman. Clayface, Okay, Gunn's Superman hit with David Corenswet as the forefront has surpassed $500 million at the global box office. Warner Brothers continue. DC Studios' universe of characters represents not only one of Warner Brothers Discovery's most valuable pieces of intellectual property, but one of the most valuable assets in entertainment. I assume they're either talking about DC or Bat or Superman. I don't know. Gunn came to Reeves' defense last year on social media when fans were criticizing the 5-year gap between Batman and Batman Part 2. To be fair, a 5-year gap is more fairly common in sequels. The DC Studios co-CEO said. 7 years between Alien and Alien. So can I just call out?
I know where you're going with this.
What I'm going to say is when they made Alien, they weren't planning to do a sequel right away. I don't even know if they were planning on doing a sequel at all. It probably came to them years later. This Batman series has already been planned to have sequels.
Right.
And don't talk to me about the animated movies like The Incredibles. That's an animated feature. That's not the same thing. I don't. Okay.
Yeah. Animated characters don't have to age.
People should get off Matt's nuts because it's like, let this guy write the screenplay in the amount of time he needs to write. This is another thing I hate, but James Gunn always has to.
Yeah, no. Yeah, again, you're giving way too much power to these artists. You go, no, you're contracted to do something in this under this umbrella. You have this much time to get it done. If you don't get it done, get the hell out. We'll get someone else to do it.
I mean, are they just gonna have to create a new villain?
It's called deadlines.
I guess. Are they gonna have to create a new villain for this Batman movie? Like they would have to create a new villain at the rate they're going because they can't use anyone because it's all tied up with the Matt Reeves universe.
Yeah.
Peacemaker debut of Lanterns in 2026. So, yeah. And of course, there's other news with this. Let's get to the next article.
Sure. Good one.
That's from Batman and Robin. Remember, that's Chris O'Donnell screaming, which
I argue he went straight from playing Robin to Nightwing in the same movie.
Basically, yeah. DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn has stepped in to shut down rumors that Robin will appear in the Batman 2 now that writers Matt Reeves and Mattson Tomlin have finally turned in the script. Fans first latched on the hope that the Boy Wonder would play a part in the upcoming Robert Pattinson-led Batman sequel, following a report from Jeff Snyder. At the time, Snyder claimed to have learned details about the Batman 2 script, explaining that at least one version of Robin would show up. Many were already skeptical about how Robin would operate in Reeves and Tomlin's gritty take in Gotham, with Gunn now doing his best to douse the flames entirely. In a post on Threads, he calls the rumor nonsense, adding that only a limited number of people on the planet have even had a chance to read the newly turned-in script. Guys, please stop believing this nonsense, DC head said. I think 6 of us have read the script. No one knows anything about the Batman 2. But Gunn could be lying here, too, right? To be keeping a surprise under wraps. You know what, Robin? Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, and actually Tom over at Midnight's Edge has been saying this for a long time. Other than James Gunn, there aren't a lot of people who know what's going on. So there is a lot of BS Fugazi out there, and I think he's speaking to that. And I would also argue this: you look far enough out, he may be in a situation where he can't even say. I mean, he might know what he wants to do, but you know, the farther something out is, the more he might have to change his plans. So what we're planning today may have nothing to do with what we're doing in 3 years.
Jesse Green says, Mad Hatter. I'd like to see the Mad Hatter in a Batman movie. Again, Reeves may say, I have plans for Mad Hatter in part 3 or something. You know, we don't know. I don't know what he's tying up here. This is what's driving me crazy about all this.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, what was I going to say, though, about Robin here? You know what Robin they would use in the Batman Part 2? It would be the girl Robin from The Dark Knight Returns. Think about it.
Interesting.
They'll just do that just to be edgy or something. That's what they would do. So, yeah. Moving on to Warner Brothers Discovery swings into Q2 profit. Oh, is that the Happy Zaslav picture? That's him. So story of Warner Brothers Discovery is quickly becoming a tale of two companies, and that's a narrative executives really like Wall Street to hear. The company behind the Warner Brothers studio, the HBO Max streaming service, and cable networks, including CNN and HGTV, saw improving results for streaming operations and production studios, such as conditions for its traditional TV networks appear to worsen. Such reports will no doubt bolster the company's recent decision to split itself in two. One company will house the production. I've talked about this 100 times. Anyway, in a letter to shareholders, the company cited the performance of films like a Minecraft movie and Sinners, TV properties like The Last of Us, And sports broadcasting, including its coverage of the French Open, still Warner Bros. Discovery eked out just a small gain in revenue during the period while moving to a profit in the period from a loss in the year earlier quarter. So what are they saying? Are they blowing smoke up people's butts, or what's going on here?
Well, no.
They say they're making progress. That's what they say. Okay, so we're doing better.
And let's face it, I mean, they have had a pretty good year so far. This
Mickey
is
17
starting to turn around.
Mickey 17.
Yeah, but they've actually had more successes than they have in past years.
So it's not like last year with Filet of Fish when that came out.
Well, yeah. You know.
Yeah, Minecraft did very well, and I heard Sinners did well, and I guess Superman did well also. Though I don't think these superhero movies are turning in the numbers they used to, like pre-pandemic. But
and this is something I was thinking about in terms of the whole Marvel thing. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of, and I've actually mentioned this prior. There has been so many bad films that people are going, well, there's really no reason for me to turn back out. That's why this James Gunn reboot, it might be why it's doing better than the MCU, because enough people understand this really is a reboot. If I didn't like the Snyderverse stuff, I might like this, and are starting to turn out. It gets good word of mouth accompanying that. Oh, so it really is better than that previous thing. Okay, maybe I'll get in and start checking this out. And honestly, I think Warner Brothers isn't mired by as much negative press, shall we say, as Disney is. So the idea that Disney's on a downward spiral, that in and of itself is just going to raise Warner Brothers in the market, I mean.
Okay. So they aren't Disney, right? That's what they can say. But they're not Sony either.
Yeah, Sony, again, I'm going to say this about Sony. They're still the smart ones that never got into the whole streaming debacle, so at least they have that going for them.
Sony Pictures reported 76% year-on-year surge in operating income, according to JPV, $18.7 billion, $129 million for the quarter ended June 30th, driven by a sharp increase in series deliveries within its television productions unit. The company reported Thursday sales climbed 4% on U.S. dollar basis to $202.22 billion, though that represented a 3% decline in yen terms due to foreign exchange headwinds. Within Sony Pictures, growth in operating income was attributed primarily to increased deliveries of series in the television productions divisions. This helped offset the decline in motion pictures revenue, which fell by $175 million year on year, driven in part by softer theatrical slate. Motion pictures revenue totaled $742 million for the quarter, down 13% from the same period last year. While theatrical performance lagged, the unit benefited from a higher contribution from library titles. Licensing revenue from older television product also declined on a U.S. dollar basis. Sony said pictures revenue grew 4%. Operating income rose 76%. So basically, they're doing well with the TV shows, not as well with the movies they put out in theaters, but they don't put as many out as they used to anyway. That's what I'm getting from this article. And they do sell a lot of series to like Netflix. I'm sure some of their other licenses, like that Nick Cage Spider-Noir series they're doing, that's going to be a Sony production, I would expect, or at least Sony's.
So again, I'm going to double down on what I just said. They have benefited from the fact that they didn't get mired down in the whole streaming thing. And what are they doing? They're licensing out their stuff to other streaming services. So that's just more revenue they've got coming in that other companies don't have. So when they suddenly have more operating revenue, gee, I wonder why. Thrawn Kill brings up a great point. He says Sony still has a comic hater as a president. And yeah, I have the same problem you do with that, but I will say this. They can't ignore the profit that they get from it. It doesn't matter that he hates it. Does he hate making money too? Apparently not, because we're still going forward with a lot of these comic book stories. So they just need to get a little bit better about it. I don't believe that that David Zaslav is a comic book fan, but he knows what people like, and he wants to put people in charge of, make these movies and make them what the fans want so we make more profit. Every executive should be thinking that way. Every single one.
Not to bring up Nintendo's old president from the 80s, Yamauchi, a terrifying man who didn't especially like playing video games. He liked playing Go, the board game.
Right.
But he had a sixth sense knowing what would sell. It was uncanny. And he knew Tetris would be a hit. He knew Pokemon would be a hit. Yeah. Even though these things were weird to me when they came out. So that's what you need as an executive. You don't have to like the stuff.
Exactly. That's exactly right. You have to understand the business.
Yeah.
And you put people in charge of the more granular stuff who are the experts, right? That's what leadership means.
The increase was fueled by third-party software titles in place of the network services. Okay, so they got money from the gaming side of things. Sony Music, you forget Sony owns a lot of music too. They have their own music thing. So Sony has their hand in a lot of pots. I don't know if there is. Are they into electronics still? I guess they still do that too.
I guess.
But Sony also pointed to strong momentum across its television animation slate. Second season of Last of Us earned multiple Emmy nominations and has been greenlit for a third. Sony Pictures Animation's K-pop Demon Hunters became the most watched Netflix original animation to date. More on that later. In features, 28 years later, toppled 150 million globally, while the anime title Demon Slayer Infinity Castle drew 12.55 million admissions and grossed 119.3 million in Japan, alone ahead of its international rollout. So they're not even done with that. I know Demon Slayer is a very popular manga series and I guess anime series. So if that gets a theatrical release over here, it should do pretty well too. Sony's been smart, at least by not jumping into the streaming nonsense, and they're reaping the benefits, I think, right now, even though they're, some would say, they're not having tons of hits, but it doesn't matter. They're still,
right.
Want to sell things. Moving on to time back to our first, I'm not sure what this is a picture from. Is he in that new Odyssey movie coming out? But
probably.
Highlander Dave Bautista to play villain opposite Henry Cavill in Amazon MGM's remake. Dave Bautista is in final negotiations to play the villain in Amazon MGM's remake of the 1980s cult classic Highlander. Now, is he playing the Kurgan or is he playing something else? That's what I don't know.
I don't know, but I think he'd do just fine playing the Kurgan.
The actor will join Henry Cavill and Russell Crowe in the action fantasy, which hails from Amazon MGM's United Artists banner and is slated to get a theatrical release. Okay, so Cavill is probably going to be playing Connor McLeod, and Russell Crowe will be playing Ramirez, right?
Right.
That makes sense. I almost, for a minute, when I heard Henry Cavill was on board, part of me thought, is he going to be playing the hero, or is he going to be playing the Kurgan? Because I can almost see him playing the Kurgan. He'd be intimidating as the villain, I think, but they're having him play the hero. Chad Stahelski is directing the feature that is due to begin principal photography at the end of September 1st and shoot in locales in the United Kingdom as well as Hong Kong. The original Highlander, released in 1986, starred Christopher Lambert as Connor McLeod, a medieval Scottish Highlander who discovers he is an immortal warrior. We need to do a good old days about that one of these days. Sorry, that was a joke. That was a joke. Okay. Batista will have the Plum role of the immortal barbarian known as the Kurgan. Okay, so here we go. Who has been killing other immortals across the centuries in order to absorb their essence. Clancy Brown memorably played the character in the original movie. Batista's imminent boarding is both a full circle moment and a fan cast materializing. Batista was circling Kurgan back in 2015 when a version was being put together under the direction of Cedric Nicholas Troyan for summer entertainment. In recent months, most fans have shipped Cavill and Batista as opposing immortal warriors in the fan-made trailer. So I guess the fans have been wanting Batista as the villain. I don't...
Look,
he's played villains before. I go ahead.
Yeah. Here's my take on it. If the actors want it and the fans want it, why the hell would you not just do it?
Well, they are doing it, see? So
yeah,
there you
exactly.
go.
Exactly.
So, okay, you know what? I'll give it a chance. I think I like the actors cast, and well, I don't always like remakes. Keep in mind, Hollywood has been remaking movies ever since it started. The reason we decry remakes in recent years is they're often just far worse than the originals, rather than being movies that complement the originals, or maybe in the rare occasion being better. So yeah, okay. So there we go. Batista. There's your Highlander news. We'll have more as time goes on because we're watching that project. What is this more industry stuff? Let's see here. We have HBO Max password sharing crackdown will get aggressive. Uh-oh. Yeah. If you've been sharing account access to HBO Max, the good times are soon coming to an end. JB Parrott, head of streaming and gaming at Warner Bros. Discovery, said in the company's second quarter earnings call that messaging to consumers to get more aggressive. You better not do it or else. I'm sorry.
Yep.
The media company looking to close the loopholes by the end of 2025 with the impact starting to appear in its financial. This is nothing new with streaming. Netflix had done this junk years ago, right? I mean, yeah. Following Netflix's lead, Warner Brothers Discovery, Disney, and other media companies all ramping up their efforts to limit password sharing. So you don't want to give your friend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the password, to your Max account.
Right.
The way streaming usually works is you can have multiple accounts on one thing, but they can't always be looking at the account at the same time. Do you understand?
Right.
So if me and somebody else and a third person jumps on HBO Max, one of us is going to get kicked out because not three people can be watching it at once. But they don't seem to like the sharing at all because what I do is we do household sharing. But to be fair, it's all in one household anyway, so it's not even a breach of anything. But
at least it's nothing that they can prove. I mean, it's like they're going to tell you can't have someone in the room with you when you're watching a movie or something.
Exactly. Asked about the inning, the process is in. Used the baseball cliche, Parrott said only by fourth quarter, said the process will be happening in a much more aggressive fashion. Okay. The message language right now has been fairly soft, cancelable message. He said it will start to get more fixed so that people have to take action as opposed to right now, such as having to be a voluntary process. So right now this is voluntary. So you're not even you're not even putting consequences on this yet. They're just asking, please don't do it.
Well, I guess, yeah.
Does anybody share their stuff? Or your sister-in-law in France, exactly. Oh, is that what you've been doing, Geek Flag? Not that I'm saying you have been doing that. Okay, moving on to... apparently, that latest...
well, you got to tell your sister-in-law in France that she should be using a VPN. That
there you go.
Places her in your hometown.
In the United States. VPNs, yeah.
Exactly.
They can get rid of commercials, too, apparently. So
now, you sent me this, and I had no flogging clue what this was about.
Look, I don't even know why I brought this up. I think I started watching it before the stream. I don't know that this is my cup of tea, but it's entertainment news.
It's definitely not mine.
This is apparently a huge hit on Netflix, and let's just say several of the younger women I work with at work have been screaming about this. I thought I would just bring it up.
I'm guessing based on the title, it might be something Netter might be interested in.
Maybe K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah.
This is. It could have gone totally off the rails and gotten weird in a bad way. K-pop Demon Hunters co-director Maggie Kang jokes at The Hollywood Reporter. The animated feature is officially shot to number 4 spot on Netflix's most popular English language films list with 158.8 million views according to data released last Tuesday. The project, which chronicles the adventures of Huntrix, a girl group comprised of 3 members who just happen to also fight monsters from the underworld, has been the surprise hit for the streamer, and its soundtrack has spent several weeks on the top 10 of the Billboard 200 chart. Oh, so you can actually sell the soundtrack with the K-pop songs on it. Demon Hunters has done surprisingly well considering the fact that it is an original IP, something of a rarity in discussing in successful animation in recent years. I'll say this, for all my complaints about Netflix, they do original stuff.
Yes.
Going into the film, Netflix execs say they know they had an audience who would tune in, but the scope of Demon Hunter's reach has grown far past the initial target demographic. We knew younger female audiences and K-pop anime fans would love the film, but it's been incredibly gratifying to see it embraced by an even broader audience and become a favorite film for both adults and kids. Dan Lin, chairman of Netflix, tells TH, The Hollywood Reporter, adults are watching the movie with their friends and other family members. Kids are watching with their friends and siblings. Okay, so it's a hit. Film inspired TikTok trends. Real K-pop groups like Zero Base One has recreated the film's fictional boy group Saja Boys along with a dedicated fan base online. It's also so fun to see KPDH music covers, cosplay, dance reels, and fan art online made by everyday fans all the way. Okay, so this is the big summer hit, I guess. This is so yeah. That's why I bring it up here. So I don't know. This might be a Netter thing. I don't know. What do you think, Netter?
Oh no, I was busy looking for a film. I didn't hear anything you said.
Okay, K-pop Demon Hunters. It's the big hit on Netflix right now. It's an animated movie.
BTS. I have no interest.
Okay.
Well, maybe they're in it. I don't know. Anyway,
no, because those are girls on your screen, and BTS are guys.
Well, there is a boy band in the movie too. Okay, that
cool.
up.
I'm sure these are fictionalized, Well, but didn't you say they had soundtracks for these too?
The soundtrack is apparently doing very well for this movie. So, big hit on Netflix. Oh, the animation side of the internet is loving K-pop Demon Hunters. Well, this is why we put this, so we don't sound like boomers every week. Well, there you go. Check out K-pop Demon Hunters. I'll probably try to finish the movie later, but didn't have time. So let's move on. This is going on forever. Former Superman. Okay, the final article of the night. This one came out of left field. What? Yeah. Look at this. Former Superman actor says he's joining ICE. Former Superman actor Dean Cain has revealed that he's joining the ranks of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE agency, showing his support for U.S. President Donald Trump immigration crackdown. The comic book hero that Cain portrayed in the 1990 television show Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman might have been an immigrant himself, but it seems the actor has a more hardline view on foreign arrivals in the United States. For starters, not that we want to get political here. In an interview with Fox News Wednesday, Cain revealed that he decided to join the agency after sharing one of ICE's recruitment videos on social media the day before. I'm actually a sworn deputy sheriff and a reserve police officer. I wasn't part of ICE, but once I put that recruitment video out there and you put a little blurb on your show, it went crazy, Cain told Fox News' Jesse Waters. So now I've spoken with some officials over at ICE, and I will be sworn in as an ICE agent as soon as possible. Asked what motivated the move, Cain, who is well-known conservative in Hollywood, said, "This country was built on patriots stepping up, whether it was popular or not, and doing the right thing. I truly believe this is the right thing." Okay. Cain described the U.S. immigration system as broken, saying Congress needs to fix it. The interim President Donald Trump ran on this. He is delivering on this. That's what people voted for. That's what I voted for, and that's what he's going to see through, and I'll do my part to make sure it happens. Okay. So I did not see this happening, but
well, it didn't strike me as terribly surprising. He has been a volunteer police officer in his community for a long time, so he's actually been involved in law enforcement for quite a while. I mean, and it's one of those pretty meta things. Like, this guy was Superman, and now he's actually trying to fight crime in his community. I love that. And,
there you go.
So the idea of trying to help the immigration officers, I think it's brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that. If nothing else, if absolutely nothing else, at least he can be a kind of like spokesperson, or kind of
also a morale booster. They've been getting a lot of hits lately for just doing their jobs. So yeah. So that ends the night with Geeky Geezers.
Yep.
But that will not be the end of Aged Boomer this evening, because Aged Boomer will be on reserved seats with deleted scenes in a little while. 5 past midnight.
In fact, if you are watching on Netter's channel or you're watching on my channel, as soon as we end here, you should be forwarded to deleted scenes for that show.
So we will have an interesting conversation. And I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. You have to tune in to find out. But that's going on tonight. And what have we learned tonight, by the way? Are you more hopeful for Hollywood than you've been in a little while? So not so bad.
I actually am a little bit more hopeful for Hollywood. I am even less I have an even lower opinion of Nintendo than I did last week, which I didn't think could get any worse. But I honestly expect to have an article next week. President of Nintendo decides to drown puppies in his spare time. That's what I'm kind of expecting.
It'd be funny if at this charity event they do a speed run of a game they didn't realize that was owned by Nintendo, and then Nintendo takes all the money they raise for Doctors Without Borders and sticks it in the bank. What do you think?
Oh my gosh!
I'm sorry.
At this point, nothing Nintendo does would surprise me, unless it was they decide to give something away free to charity, or make free DLC for current customers or something like that.
What kills me? Years ago, and I don't know if they still do this, they probably don't, but they used to actually have Nintendo hospital stations, like for sick kids in hospitals, and these would be like specially made stations with like a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo, so the sick kids could play the games and these things. I don't know if they still do that. Probably not.
Sure, but now you have to put in $1.
Or a vial of your blood, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, moving on though to tomorrow night. What you got going on?
So tomorrow night, it looks like the members of the channel have spoken, and they want to watch Happy Gilmore 2. So that's what we're going to be watching in a private members only watch party. And if you are not a member, you can still join us for $2 a month. Well, actually $1.99 per month. You can be a member and support my channel, and get all of the benefits of membership, including weekly watch parties on Mondays. Sometimes things that you can't find anywhere else.
But not Bad Ronald.
I've been thinking about Bad Ronald, and here's what I'm going to say to you. We can do a Bad Ronald watch party. If like, I don't know, maybe I'll set a goal and say, if I get $50 in super chats, I'll watch Bad Ronald. And do a review on it or something.
You must watch Bad Ronald. Anyway, moving on though to Tuesday night, we actually have a very
and if you
special.
expect me to watch it with them, that's got to be $75.
There you go.
We have a special Sparkled in 21 though on Tuesday. We're actually watching a kind of a spoof Twin Peaks thing, right?
Really? No, wait a minute. I know. I'm not telling the truth. No. Okay. Yes, we are going to be watching the Psych Twin Peaks homage called Dual Spires.
Like that.
And not only the episode, the extended episode off the DVD, and the behind-the-scenes footage. So we're gonna.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun. One thing I will say though, I'm probably not gonna have subtitles. Usually when I do rewatches with you guys, I have subtitles. I probably won't for this, especially not for the behind-the-scenes footage. But we'll just have to listen up real close. And so yeah, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Then Wednesday evening, anything going on? Oh no, actually, Tuesday night you have the Blake 7 podcast after.
Of course. The next episode of Blake 7, the second episode of season 4, which is Power. They're trapped inside Xenon base with a ticking time bomb, and that time bomb is attached to a nuke, so they need to get out. There's a very, very firm time limit on that. Yes, but Wednesday, you don't have anything on Wednesday, right?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, as far as I know, nothing. So I would encourage you to get over to Pop Culture Breakdown if you're not watching anything else. They're going to be talking about Star Trek 4, the movie that they love. So definitely make sure you go over there and say hi and tell them I send my best regards. That would be Wednesday. Thursday,
Wilkie's Movies and Music.
Yes, Corey from Wilkie's Movies and Music will be sitting down with Netter on Thursday evening at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. He's a great channel that just recently became monetized. So let's give him the love and the encouragement, and if you're not already, the subscriptions, and maybe by the end of the stream, he will have earned a membership from you. That would be nice. So that would be Thursday on Netters Network. I want to say real quick hi to Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights, who just dropped into the chat. Happy Sunday to you as well, my friend. Good to see you. Which brings us around to Friday. Friday, those of you that were talking about Apollo 13 earlier in the stream, over on Big Al's Films with Friends, I want to say that's 7 Central, 8 Eastern, if I remember correctly. Double check on his channel. He's already got the stream up. He will be doing a Films with Friends viewing of Apollo 13. I'm not positive that Netter and I will be there. We have been invited. I did tell Big Al, depends on, how our schedules are looking at the end of the week, but we will try. Again, to kind of 7 p.m. Eastern time, so that would be 6 p.m. Central time. Thank you, Deleted Scenes. I think Deleted is going to be over there with him, though. And again, yeah, to honor Jim Lovell, because definitely deserves it. Godspeed to him. But that'll be immediately then followed at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. Last call. Boomer and I are still banging out what we're going to be talking about. We've got some ideas, but don't want to commit to them until we know we can do it. So look forward to that on Friday. And then Saturday night on Netter's Network Retro Cinema, if we can find it, we are hoping to bring you the movie by Dead Gentleman Productions. Dead Gentleman Productions, The Gamers. But I had noticed that The Gamers, the original film that they produced, was only 48 minutes long. So I was going to suggest that we do The Gamers and its sequel, Darkness Rising, which would be about 2.5 hours, which would be a little bit long. But if you guys are amenable to that, maybe that's what we do. So we'll see. But yeah, it'll be something in the Dead Gentleman Productions gamers milieu there. And that brings us around to next week.
Next week, actually, I know what we'll be doing next week because the news hasn't happened yet. Okay.
True.
Hopefully fewer, if not no, celebrity deaths. But we'll see.
Here's hoping.
All right. Y'all have a good week. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care. Hope to see you over on Deleted Scenes channel in a little bit. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.